You tell me you had this on your bingo card, and they're eating cats, and they're eating cat. What would you say? That criminal being on the stage got put in his place. Donald Trump spent the entire time whining about himself, talking about his problems. Kamala Harris spent her time talking about you and the way forward.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz at a campaign stop in Grand Rapids, Michigan last night, as both campaigns continue to flood Michigan with money and mobilization. This on a day when Donald Trump announced there will not be a debate rematch with Kamala Harris. More on that in just a moment. The race in Michigan is expected to be very close, of course, and certainly close enough where third-party candidates could play the role of election spoilers. Worth remembering that in 2016, Hillary Clinton lost Michigan by just over 10,000 votes, while Jill Stein got 5 times that many. And speaking of Jill Stein, a new survey shows the Green Party candidate winning over a significant share of Muslim voters in the state, far ahead of both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Michigan is home to 240,000 Muslim residents. Also this week, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled 5-2 to keep former presidential candidate RFK Jr. on November's ballot, yet another third-party wrinkle. For more on Michigan, I'm pleased to be joined again by David Dulio, political science professor and the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. Dave, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Essie. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, okay, so let's start with a couple of interesting news items this week about the impact of third-party candidates in Michigan, beginning with Jill Stein's, her strength among the state's sizable Muslim population. What's driving that?
Well, I think this is pretty clear. She has taken a very pro-Palestinian position in the Israeli-Hamas war. And she says on her website that not only does she want to see a ceasefire immediately, but she calls for an end to all U.S. aid to Israel. So I think that that's the Muslim American population, the Arab American population here in Michigan, really gravitating to her.
Well, that makes sense. Okay, also in the news this week, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that RFK Jr.'s name must stay on the ballot. What is the significance of that?
Also incredibly significant. As you mentioned in your intro, the third-party candidates have really played a massive role in the last 2 presidential cycles here in Michigan. And you mentioned Jill Stein in 2016. You know, there were 270-some thousand votes for third-party candidates in 2016 with a less than 11,000 vote margin. And then in 2020, there were only 93,000 third-party votes. So, and then, of course, Biden wins, right? So we've got a lot of moving parts here when it comes to third parties. And having RFK on the ballot, somebody who has endorsed Trump, you know, you'd think that the Trump campaign would want him off so that it was a clearer direction for what his voters or his supporters are supposed to do. I think it's going to muddy the water here for some Michiganders.
Oh, and that's going to make it really hard to handicap, but we'll keep doing our best. Now to the biggest headline of the week in all 7 of our swing states, Dave, Tuesday night's debate. What's your sense of how voters are reacting? Did either candidate do enough to sway those undecided voters in Michigan?
Yeah, I think Michigan here is, again, a lot like the rest of the country. And we're pretty reflective of the rest of the country. I don't think there's going to be a major shift between the numbers for Trump and for Harris. In fact, I saw a poll yesterday that still has Trump up 1, and all the surveys were done after the debate. So I think look, I mean, Michigan's going to be close. That's the end of that's really as much as we can say right now.
That's the sentence. Michigan's going to be close. Right. I get it. Okay. Yesterday, Dave, Donald Trump announced there will be no more debates, at least for now. Do you think voters in Michigan would benefit from another debate? Are you hearing that they'd want another debate?
I think voters everywhere benefit from debates, and it's just that different mechanism that candidates have a chance to talk to voters through, right? It's unfiltered, unproduced, unscripted, when frankly Trump is sometimes really good. Tuesday night being an exception to that, right? But I think that it's a missed opportunity for him, unless the campaign has got some internal numbers that show, hey, look, we like where we're at. We're just gonna ride it out.
Sure. Good point. Okay. And we just saw video from Tim Walz in Grand Rapids last night, and today he's in Lansing. Talk about both of these areas, why Democrats are spending time and effort in both Grand Rapids and Lansing.
Yeah, two very different places, two different reasons. You've got Grand Rapids is in Kent County on the west side of the state, and that is a county that has been changing demographically over time. It's becoming more diverse, and consequently, it's becoming more democratic in its vote totals. It countywide went for Trump in 16, countywide went for Democrats for Biden in 20. So I think Democrats see a real opportunity to keep sort of running up the score in suburban, relatively wealthy, well-educated areas like Grand Rapids and Kent County. Lansing, in particular, East Lansing, home of Michigan State University, another really important voting block for Democrats. They're going to try to get those college kids out and probably play a lot of Taylor Swift and see if they can't energize that group of supporters.
Dave Dulio from Oakland University. Great stuff as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Up next, Donald Trump gets more good news in Georgia's election interference case. But first, our megaphone poll question this week asked swing state voters who they thought won Tuesday night's debate, and by a margin of 61% to 39%, voters in 5 of our battleground states said Kamala Harris came out on top.